How's it going, everybody? This is episode number 6 of the UCLA Bruins Insider Podcast on Sports Illustrated with your host, Tom Cavanaugh. Going to be getting into a couple different things between multiple sports today. Basketball squad taking on New Mexico at a neutral site on Friday night. And also to finish out the week, it's homecoming for the UCLA Bruins football team. They're going to be taking on the Iowa Hawkeyes at the Rose Bowl for a huge homecoming game. Means a lot for this Bruins team. And so it does for Mick Cronin's group in the Hoop Squad, because starting out the year 2-0 and taking down a New Mexico team that's pretty solid this year, as they usually are under head coach Richard Pitino, that's a measuring stick game as well. First, want to give a huge shout out to the Fans First Sports Network for letting us provide the content every day to you on the FFSN site. And if you can follow myself, Tom Cavanaugh, at TCav30 on Twitter. And if you want to follow everything UCLA Bruins, you can head over to Twitter and Facebook. Follow us at UCLA Insider on SI, both on X/Twitter and also Facebook, for all the daily updates, breaking stories, and any other news that could be coming out per day when it comes to both Bruins sports. You can also find all of our content if you type in UCLA Bruins on SI. Go to your search bar, type that in. You'll be able to hit up the Sports Illustrated page that has several different of our talented writers covering both sports, and all throughout really women's basketball starting to get into things as well, volleyball as well. We're talking about in this podcast specifically one former player that has kind of made a jump this season in the NBA. And we also have to talk about one recruit that is going to make a visit for the football team in hopes of offering and signing him long term. So we'll start on the basketball side of things. First, we're going to look at 4 players to watch in UCLA's matchup with New Mexico. This was a story written by our very own Aiden Champion from the UCLA Bruins and on SI site. And he broke down 4 pivotal players that are going to, lead this team to victory, starting with forward Tyler Bilodeau. I mean, this guy, he has really jumped on the scene for the Bruins and head coach Mick Cronin. 24 points in the exhibition match to start the season. He had 18 points and 6 rebounds with a pair of steals and a block in their season opener game against Rider University. Bilodeau is kind of that 3/4 player. He can handle the ball well from beyond the arc while also getting into the paint. Several of his 18 points that came against Rider were put back buckets. So he was able to corral a rebound and immediately go right back up with it and get a few buckets that way. He's looking to kind of score from a myriad of different angles so far this season, or throughout the season. He should be a guy to look out for when the Bruins head to Henderson, Nevada, to a neutral site to play the Lobos. Another is a second transfer, Sky Clark, coming over from Louisville. He didn't shoot the ball all that well, just 3 points, 1 of 5 from the field in his season opening performance for the Bruins, but he did serve up 7 assists, which led the team. Sky's going to be a guy that's going to be the quarterback of this offense. He is going to handle the ball more than anybody else on the team, and he really has to limit turnovers, find guys that are open. When you look at the stat sheet from that Rider game, there were 34 made buckets, 21 assists were had. So they're moving the ball extremely well. Sky Clark is the facilitator. So even when he is not scoring big points, he's still able to get it done through the passing game. Head coach Mick Cronin earlier this week did speak about Clark and said he's really probably been the best shooter that he has seen from the group so far in early workouts, obviously preparing for the season, and then in practice as this season has kicked off. But Clark, it's going to be kind of a gradual process for him to get that shot going. He did have 17 points, a couple of 3-pointers in the exhibition. So for him to have a big game shooting the ball while also dishing it, that's going to be a big key for the Bruins. The third key player is going to be guard Sebastian Mack. Mack, he's a sophomore returner from last season. Had an okay year in his first year of collegiate basketball under Cronin, and he's looking to have a much bigger role here in year 2. He recorded 12 points, 2 rebounds, and an assist, just about where he was sitting at last year, averaging 12 points. He had some big games last season, but now he's going to be added into a bigger role. With Clark and Mack, he's more of a wing player, is Sebastian, and at that guard position, there are several. We're going to talk about Kobe Johnson a little bit, but multiple guys that can play the 1 through 3 positions and make this a very versatile offense. Now, coming over to Kobe Johnson, he is a USC transfer in-state. A lot of Bruins are familiar with him competing in the Pac-12 against Kobe last year. He also had a 12-point performance, was 2 rebounds away from a double-double, had 8 of those, and 3 assists in the game. When you look at Kobe's rebound numbers from a game ago in the season opener, he had 4 of those on the offensive glass. Now, that's a big key stat right there because this team is going to have to thrive on their offensive rebounding and extra shots. We mentioned they were able to make 34 buckets. They took over 60 throughout the game, and a big reason was for that is the double-digit offensive rebounds that they had, 4 of them coming from Johnson, and he can score from any part of the floor, just kind of like we were talking about with Bilodeau. He is a bigger 6'6" guard, so going to the rim is definitely an advantage for him, but he can also shoot the 3-ball, something that he's been working on throughout the years. This transfer guard is going to be able to really shine for the Bruins in probably the biggest game it is the biggest game they've had this year, obviously very early in the season, but a great measuring stick. New Mexico under Richard Pitino last year, they won a Mountain West Conference Championship tournament, and then they also went to the national tournament, went to March Madness, ended up losing to Clemson, who made the Elite Eight. But they had a very good squad last year. They were pretty even in the Mountain West in conference last year, but looking for a bounce-back season, or a better season, really, this year. And the Bruins, ranked inside the top 25, they are expected to win the ball game, but it's going to take from those 4 players a big performance to get it done in Nevada. The one former Bruin that has kind of taken a step up in his second season in the NBA for the Utah Jazz is Johnny Juzang. Juzang spent 2 of his college years with the Bruins. He was a original freshman at the University of Kentucky, transferred to UCLA for his sophomore and junior seasons, and then was joining into the NBA. And looking at his stats so far, he's played in 4 games this season. He's averaging just under 6.5 points. Juzang's taken on a bigger role this year for the Jazz. Not one of the powerhouse teams in the NBA, but at 6'5", 209, this is a guy that, wanted to have a breakout year early in his career. He's only 23 years old, but this is the time for him to start taking strides as a guard in the NBA. He had 17 points against the Bulls back on November 2nd, and then 2 days later had 8 points against the Bulls. He's averaging 22.5 minutes over the last 2 games, so a lot more playing time. He was able to put together a win against the Bulls with his squad, a loss to Denver when he posted 17. But other than that, this is a great stride for Juzang. He went to the line 6 times against Denver, made all 6 free throws, and he's starting to come into his own in the NBA. Switching over to the football side of things, the Bruins have a big game this weekend, homecoming against the Iowa Hawkeyes, a great Hawkeyes team at 6-3 this year. Bruins, they need to win 3 out of their last 4 games to become bowl eligible, and it starts in Pasadena this Friday night against Kirk Ferentz and his squad that possess the number 2 running back in the country, Caleb Johnson. He's a potential Heisman candidate, second in rushing touchdowns, second in yards behind the great Ashton Genty that most of the country knows about for his stellar performances week in and week out. But one guy that's going to be on the sideline watching this Bruins-Hawkeyes matchup at the Rose Bowl is going to be Elijah Tiger Canales. And he is a senior from San Juan Capistrano, California. He's going to be on a visit for the Bruins under head coach Deshaun Foster, a 3-star recruit coming out of J. Sierra Catholic High School. Defensive back, Elijah is going to be a guy that if they can grab him, would be a huge help to the defense. Right now, the Bruins have a pretty steady pass defense. They've been playing well over the last couple of games, but they want to kind of change that culture. They're trying to get an in-state guy. Canales is listed at 6'1", $183, with good speed, and only has a few offers this year. Eastern Washington, Wyoming, and Colorado State. If the Bruins are able to land Canales, that's huge. You get another in-state player, they have a really good chance to get him because he has not received an offer from a California school, and the Bruins could be the first if they do extend one. But he's going to witness an electric atmosphere. Homecoming at the Rose Bowl. These Bruins fans are going to be out in full force. Head coach Deshaun Foster spoke earlier in the week and was begging on those students and those supporters to come out, make it a crazy environment, and make it tough for those Hawkeyes that are looking to win 4 out of their last 5 games. They're trying to improve their status, get inside the top 25, and the Bruins are going to try to do all they can with Canales in attendance. Referencing back to what head coach Deshaun Foster of the Bruins spoke on earlier this week, kind of reviewing this Hawkeyes team, he mentioned Kirk Ferentz, who is in his 25th season, coaching up Iowa, and then also their star running back, Caleb Johnson, that we mentioned earlier. Foster was quoted saying, these guys are excited for the challenge. It's a good team we're playing against. It's also homecoming, and it's another opportunity for us to show that we can win in the Rose Bowl. He said, this is a real culture that we're playing against because he's Kirk Ferentz, he's mentioning. He's been there for a long time. The way that he wants to play is embedded into his players, and you can see that. So this is a good challenge for us at home. And that's true. I mean, this is a hard-nosed Hawkeyes team, as it is traditionally. Their offense has taken a step up. They grabbed a new offensive coordinator in Tim Lester this past offseason. And, I mean, like we said, their offense literally runs through Caleb Johnson. They're the number one rushing team in the Big Ten. They are the worst passing team in the conference. So when you look at how they're going to scheme up the offensive playbook, it's going to be mostly Caleb Johnson. But, I mean, the Bruins are going to really prepare for that. You got multiple guys. Jay Toa, he is a great defensive lineman that's going to plug up holes. Kane Medrano, Carson Schwessinger, two linebackers that are going to rep some big tackles in the game. So if they're able to swarm to the ball, as Foster had mentioned later in his interview, talking about when he was a running back back with the Carolina Panthers, he knew he was going up a good defense when he saw several players swarming to the ball and making it tough for him to get out for big yardage. That's going to do it for us today on the UCLA Insider Podcast on Sports Illustrated with myself, Tom Cavanaugh. You can go check out all of our content. Just type in UCLA Bruins on Sports Illustrated or on SI, and you'll be able to catch everything that I talked about here today and going forward into the next several days. And make sure to follow us back here after the game on Friday for a post-game recap of both the basketball and football contests. Thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you again on the UCLA Insider Podcast here on the Fans First Sports Network again tomorrow.